Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Päivi Räsänen. I'm living in Finland in a little town of Riihimäki, quite near to our capital, Helsinki. And by my education, I'm a medical doctor. I worked as a doctor for 10 years before my political career. I'm married to a pastor. We have been married since 1985, and we have 5 grown-up children, and they have families, and I have also 7 lovely grandchildren. And in fact, we are expecting 3 more, so I'm very happy for my family.
So Päivi, you trained as a doctor. What made you decide to then run as a member of parliament?
I loved to work as a doctor. I have to admit that sometimes I miss it. I loved to work with people and try to help them. But then I was also very interested in the ethical issues of medicine. Already when I studied medicine, I was involved in the ethical debate about pro-life issues. And when I studied medicine, I decided that I will not work with abortions because I want to protect human life from the beginning to the end. And I think that life is always valuable. So I wrote books and I arranged panels, and I was also in public discussions, and that's why some parties asked me, would you like to candidate? But then in 19th we had an economical distress time in Finland when I worked as a doctor. And I saw a lot of diseases where the background was some social problems. There were a lot of unemployment. I saw divorces and mental disorders and even attempts of suicides. And I thought that I would like to try to impact the roots of these problems, not just to give them some medicines.
Could you tell us a little bit about your parliamentary experience?
Yes, I have been a member of Parliament over 26 years, since 1995. And I have also served government. I have been appointed as a Minister of Interior 2011, and I was 4 years as Minister of Interior. And I was also in charge of immigration issues of police and emergency issues, and then I was in charge of church affairs. I have been also chair of my party, Finnish Christian Democrats, for 11 years. I have been a member of almost all committees in Parliament because my career has been so long.
How did this whole case start?
Yes, the whole process started in June 2019. I was shocked when I heard that my church decided to support the Helsinki Pride event. And at that time, many of my friends wanted to resign church for that because they found that there was a strong contradiction between Bible and the church's decision. And I was also thinking, what should I do now? Should I resign my church, or what should I do? And in fact, I was praying, and I became convinced that it is not my time to leave the church, but try to wake up those who are sleeping. Because I was worried that when there is such a contradiction between the Bible and what the church had decided, it will break down the people's trust upon the Bible. And it would be very dangerous if the Christians do not anymore trust on the Bible. I took a photo from the Bible and posted it in Twitter and asked the leadership of my church that how is it possible that what Bible calls sin and shame, you are now supporting as a pride. And after that, some citizen made a complaint to police, and police started to investigate that. And then after that, there were many other criminal complaints that some citizens made about a booklet that was written much earlier, 2004, and some radio and TV programs where I was talking about these issues.
You've been to the police many times in the past few years. Can you tell us about your experience with the police?
Yes, I was interrogated by police many times, and those hearings, they lasted altogether about 13 hours. In fact, the situation was very absurd because I sat there with the police. I had the Bible on the table, and then the police asked me questions about my beliefs. What do you think about what Apostle Paul is here teaching? What you think about this verse, these verses where he speaks about homosexual acts? In fact, I thought that it was quite a privilege to have this kind of discussion with the police, because I had many times during these hours the possibility to tell to the police the message of gospel, what the Bible teaches about the value of human being, that all people are created as the image of God, and that's why they all are valuable. So it was funny that many people described these interrogations, that Päivi goes now again to the police station to give Bible studies to the police. I could never have imagined, for example, when I worked as a Minister of Interior, who was in charge of police, that I would be interrogated and asked that kind of questions in police station. I have heard about this kind of interrogations and hearings from Soviet times. I'm so old that I remember the Soviet times, and I could never have imagined that that happens in Finland. The police asked also in every interrogation, are you ready to renounce your writings and take them away from your social media accounts or your home pages? But I answered that I will stand on what I believe, and I will speak about these things and write about these things also in the future. Because they are a matter of conviction, not only an opinion.
What was your intention in engaging with these topics from the beginning? You said it's a matter of conviction, you will write, but could you explain a little more?
Yes, I have been always very open about my faith. And when I was discussing and writing about these things, I never intended to insult or defame anyone. I think all people are equal, all people are precious. I just wanted to share what I believe and what I think that it is best for all human beings. And I think that these writings and this conviction, it arouses from love and not from hate. The Prosecutor General has been in public many times about this case. And 1 year ago, in an interview in Helsingin Sanomat, she stated that if Päivi Räsänen is convicted, it is not necessary to take the Bibles away from the libraries, and it is still okay to cite them. But what is not okay is to agree with the Bible. And at the same time, she also compared the Bible to Mein Kampf. And I think what she said is very dangerous, because she defined thought crime And it would be also dangerous not only to me and to Christians, but to everyone who have convictions and speak about them.
What has been the reaction to your case here in Finland?
I think that many people, thousands of people, have been also shocked for this. I have got a lot of support. I know that thousands of people are praying for me. Every day I get messages from people. But also there are different kinds of opinions. So this has raised a lot of discussion in the Finnish society, also in parliaments and inside the church.
And could you explain to us a little bit what has been the reaction in Finnish media?
The Finnish media has been interested in this case, but I would say that the opinions in media, they are also divided. Many Christians and also many other people who are not Christians, other people with different kinds of faiths, have been worried about the freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And I think that the main topic in these discussions has been the question of freedom of speech. Because in this case, we can see that the high authorities, they have different views. For example, the police, when police investigated my pamphlet and the radio program, police thought that no crime has happened. But then Prosecutor General had a different opinion about this. So for ordinary citizens, it is difficult to know where is the border. For example, some pastors have sent to me their sermons or their writings and asked, could I be accused of crime if I give this kind of sermon to my church? And also many young Christians have sent me many messages where they tell that they are afraid to confess to be Christians because they are afraid of consequences.
So as a long-serving member of parliament, have you ever personally been offended or felt insulted? And if yes, what is your response?
Yes, there are many times when in public discussions and debates and in many writings I have felt insulted or defamed, or also of course I have had sometimes bad feelings about what have been written about me or my family or even my children. But I think that it is good that there are opinions different than my opinions, and I have never thought that I would make a criminal complaint for some opinions or some even insults that have done against me.
So how are you feeling ahead of the trial?
I have to say that I have very calm mind. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous because I have not been in that kind of situation before. And I pray that I would have wisdom to answer the questions. And I'm also very grateful for all support and prayers. But I trust that we are still living in democracy. We have our constitution that guarantees the freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and also the international agreements. So I have calm mind, and I trust also in God who is guiding.
And so this trial is not just about you, and you're a member of parliament, but you're also a wife and a mother and a grandmother. So how is your family feeling about this trial that is coming up?
I'm very thankful that I have a family who supports me. My husband has been supporting all the time, very eagerly me. And also my grown-up children. Of course, my grandchildren, they are so little that they do not understand what is happening. But my children, they have encouraged me that, mother, you have to stand firm and do not give up. So I'm happy for the support of my family.
Are you concerned about people looking at the trial and self-censoring out of fear?
Yes, I'm afraid that people who are following my case are afraid to use their freedom of speech, and they are self-censoring. But I want to encourage them that now it is time to speak. Now it is time for Christians to tell about the truths of the Bible, because the more we are silent, the narrower goes the space for freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
What would be the consequences of the court deciding in your favor or against you?
If I win the case, I think that it is a very important step for the freedom of speech and religion. And I think that it is not important only in Finland, but also in Europe and other countries, because so many countries and so many people abroad are following this case. If I'm convicted, I think that the worst consequence is not a fine to me or even the prison. That could be possible. It would be the censorship and the ban to writings, the ban to my booklet, but not only my booklet. There are thousands of similar writings and speeches and programs and sermons that could be banned after that. I think that the consequences would be to all the Finnish society, not only to me, not only to Christians, also to other people, because then the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, it is narrowed.
Are you aware of all the prayers and support you have received from all around the world, and what has it meant to you?
I'm very happy and I'm very thankful for all the prayers from Finland and from other countries. In some days I have got hundreds of messages of praying people. And I believe that when God raises people to pray, He's going to do something good. So I trust that there is something good in the future.
Do you think people need to agree with you in order to support your case?
Oh, people really do not have to agree with me when they support me. And I have many supporters in public and also in messages who tell that they are not Christians. They do not agree what I have said, but they defend my right to say what I believe and what I think. And I think that I want to do the same. I want also to defend those people with whom I disagree. I would say that, for example, in Finland, in our parliament, there is a politician who is himself homosexual, and he is very strongly supporting me and supporting that Päivi has to have the right to say what she believes.
What is your prayer and your hope for the people of Finland?
I pray for Finland that we would have in the future a good democracy and freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And I pray that my case and all the publicity around the case would lift up Christians to be open and to be encouraged to speak about their faith. And I'm happy that through this case it is also possible to lift up important issues and the messages, core messages of our faith.